Welcome, everybody, to episode 241 of WordPress Weekly for Wednesday, July 13th, 2016. I'm your host, Jeff Chandler, joined by Marcus Couch.
Yes, sir. How's it going,
Marcus? That's going
I'm well. Yeah. I'm doing really well. How about you?
Doing pretty well here. If just trying to get the show in before we get some nasty storms rolling in. It's been one of those muggy summer days, and with muggy summer days, sometimes comes some pretty strong storms, and they're on their way. So we'll see if we can get some electrostatic electricity or something to that effect on the show.
Yeah, well, in 6 months, you'd be praying for this kind of storm instead of snow. So
that's right.
Count your blessings, my friend.
That's right. So we're gonna. I mean, it's hard to top the show we had last week. You had a lot of great feedback from that episode. We covered a lot of stuff, a lot of material, but we got some things to talk about, some news to review. But before we get into that, Marcus, I have a bone to pick with you.
Uh-oh.
And, I haven't changed my avatar, a.k.a. Gravatar image, in about 4 years or so. So I recently changed it earlier this week.
I noticed.
I know you noticed. And I want to send a shout-out to Carrie Marucci, who took my photo at WordCamp Chicago, and it actually turned out pretty good. And I see I look pretty good on toast, apparently, and you've put my face on cappuccino, on toast, on places that I don't think my face should be. And I just want to know what's going on there, and is this how you use your free time?
It could be worse. I mean, I didn't do anything out of the ordinary or obscene.
Not
I
yet.
Just had a little fun, but that's actually something I've been using a lot of tools for my membership coach thing that allows you to use these mock-ups and templates and stuff. And it's like a street corner, with the billboards there, and just go to my Twitter at Marcus Couch and just look at some of the images I've posted lately, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
I highly encourage you to go check that out.
Yeah. But these are just things at my disposal, so it's easy for me to rip these out really fast. And it's interesting to see the feedback that people enjoy. Some people thought some of this stuff was real, like a street corner with a bunch of busy Japanese people walking by. It was real, and it did look real, but it wasn't.
Yeah, and just some of the things he's talking about is there's a real life scene in a photograph, but instead of some news thing on a big Megatron, the big TV they have around Times Square, is this big image of you and me or WordPress Weekly.
Yeah, it's awesome. So I will definitely tell everybody what that is at the end of the show.
All right.
So remind me before we leave to give out that website.
So one of the first things I want to talk about is ASAP Story Engine. Now, some of our listeners may recall that about 8 months ago, Nick Haskins sold the company. It was acquired by a gentleman by the name of Heinz Supel. I hope I got that name right. And he purchased it or acquired it for an undisclosed amount. That is ASAP Interactive LLC. So that comes with ASAP Story Engine, the service, Story.am, and Edit-Us, which is the sort of front-end editor that you can use on WordPress. It also ties into the Story Engine platform. But the reason I bring this up is ever since it was acquired, from that point on, for about 8 months, there have been no blog posts, there's been no announcements, no emails, no signs that this gentleman was working on the project until now. So I just wanted to let everyone know out there who are either users or customers of ASAP Story Engine that he's released 1.7.8, and what this does is it improves the video and chapter components and makes them more usable on mobile devices. So, for example, the chapter component, instead of navigating with the up and down arrow keys on your keyboard, now you can use page up and page down, which apparently is a bit more accessible for people. So there's also a number of other updates and small improvements in there, but what this really does is it tells people that the project's not dead, and that he's actually maintaining his promise, so to speak, of maintaining it and releasing updates. So kudos and good on him. I just hope that he shares and participates a little bit more in the communication realm of things, so that we don't end up in this situation again where months go by and nobody knows what's going on. And
Let's get him
we
on the
talked.
show.
Well, I mean, it's possible we could try. I don't know how good his English is, but we can find out.
Come on, man. We've had people on the show from everywhere. Doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, so that's what's going on the ASAP Story Engine front. So if you're actually using that, good, go check it out. Go get the upgrade and enjoy the nifty little improvements in it. So speaking of releases, there's a lot of things that have been released since the last time we did the show. But a Jetpack 4.1 was pushed out, and what this does is it adds Telegram and WhatsApp sharing buttons, and it also introduces an untapped menu shortcode. Untapped, UNTAPPD. That's the app that people use to check in at breweries or things that they're drinking. It's like a beer aficionado social network, so to speak. So I didn't know this, Marcus, but apparently WhatsApp has an estimated 1 billion users, and Telegram has about 100 million. So it's kind of key, or it kind of makes sense that they would add these sharing buttons to Jetpack. And for all our listeners out there who like to make their content easily shareable or who use Jetpack, you should definitely reconsider or take a look at the sharing buttons you have on your site, because you may want to add these two, because that's a pretty big user base for both services.
Yeah, I have those. I have an app called WeChat that is pretty unbelievable. If you install the Chinese version of the app, it's like, if you're a social junkie and you love it if people follow you, this is perfect. This is a perfect thing for you. What happened here, Jeff?
What?
My audio's not good?
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
What?
Yeah, it's cutting out and chopped and stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, I was saying about this app. The WeChat app, the Chinese version, if you just get an account, instantly like 1,000 people will make you their friend. And I don't know why that's cool, but it's just they must do that. There must be 1 billion people on the other end in China that are just seeking out friends. So it's a feel-good app for all of you lonely people out there.
Well, why don't we do this? Why don't you disconnect, reconnect, turn everything off?
All right, let's start the show again.
It's
this
bad.
Show sucked anyway.
Well, you don't have to go back that far.
And here I am again.
See, that's better.
Okay,
That's normal.
let's start the show again.
Oh, we don't have to go back that far.
Oh,
It was just for that one part.
okay.
Like, it was great in the beginning, and then when we started talking about this, it went to crap.
Fucking Chinese.
All right, so
Live stream. Sorry.
let's see, 1, 2, 3. So speaking of releases, it's a lot of releases this week since we did the show last time. But Jetpack 4.1's been released, and this adds Telegram and WhatsApp sharing buttons, and it also adds the untapped menu shortcode, which makes it easy for breweries or people with websites to use a shortcode to list a menu of your beers that you serve. And untapped, I'm talking about that beer aficionado social network where you can check in and show people what beer you're drinking, kind of keep tabs on it, rate them, things of that nature. Something I didn't know, Marcus, is that the WhatsApp service has an estimated 1 billion users, and Telegram has an estimated 100 million users. So that's a considerable user base that things could get shared around pretty easily, and that if you could somehow tap into, that's quite a bit of reach.
Yeah, you know that Telegram app? It's the only thing that's encrypted, and the FBI is freaking out about that one too, and the CIA.
Oh, great.
Because terrorists are using it. But I'm thinking to myself, if I'm the CIA, wouldn't I just like want to go buy that app, like buy that company, so I could just see what everybody's saying?
Oh yeah, and then have access to the encryption keys and
Everybody, you could light them all up in a day. Oh, I got his IP. I got his IP. I got his IP. I know where he is. I know where he is. Build a little bug into the system like Pokemon Go where you can track
Man.
what everybody's doing.
Stop giving them ideas, man.
Yeah. Well, that's taxpayer money. But, seriously, that's one thing that you always have to think about, too, is when you hook these third-party services up into your site, you're exposing to the security of that particular site as well.
Right.
So be cautious. A lot of people have freaked out after installing Facebook stuff and seeing sometimes their site slows down to a crawl. Well, that's because you're loading Facebook on the back end and probably 50 other call outs and tags and things that they want to load within their system. So be careful.
In addition to these buttons, Jetpack 4.1 improved the experience for the secure sign-on module. So now you can register and log into the sites using your WordPress.com credentials, which should make it a lot easier. And there's also some improvements to the recipe shortcodes, some extra security measures, all kinds of good stuff. So if you use Jetpack, definitely check your upgrade notices in the WordPress backend and upgrade to 4.1 and enjoy all the goodness that is the new version. So,
do they name Jetpack revisions at all?
No, they don't. Nope.
They should name them after astronauts.
Yeah. Well, hey, you might be onto something there.
Version 4.1, Armstrong. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a little ridiculous that we thought of the same astronaut, but I digress.
Come on, dude. First man on the moon. That's the ultimate astronaut.
That's right. So, a couple of security releases this week as well. In fact, this just came out today. Anyone out there using bbPress will want to upgrade as soon as possible because 2.5.10 was released today. It's a security update. It's actually patches some security issues in all previous 2.x versions of the software. And what it does is, according to the announcement, the changes are internal to bbPress and do not affect any third-party themes or modifications to the bbPress template parts. But if you are using a third-party theme or template parts, you will inherit these fixes automatically. So that's good news if you happen to be one of those. And also, these fixes have been ported over to 2.6. So if you're concerned about whether, because pretty soon here there's going to be a 2.6 beta release, but these fixes are already in there, so you don't have to worry about that. Now, one of the cool things about this security release is that the vulnerability was reported by a user as part of the HackerOne program. So bbPress, I don't know who's funding it, but bbPress is on the HackerOne program where there are bounties that are paid out to people who responsibly disclose security issues. And those can range from, I don't know, $50, $100 up to a couple hundred, depending on the company severity of the bug. And I know Automatic participates in this as well for WordPress.com and some of its other services. And even WordPress.org, the project, participates on HackerOne, and it's actually been rather helpful for them.
Yeah, and if you really want a better fix for bbPress, use that WP Discourse plugin that we talked about last week.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So I got some good feedback about that one, by the way. Somebody actually showed me what they did. It was really nice.
Oh, wow. Okay, there you go. You know what that means? People listen to the show.
At least one. At least we know Matt listens.
Yeah, well, now we do. Anyone out there who has plugins on the WordPress plugin directory would be happy to hear. There's been some additional stats that have been added to the pages. So now you can see languages. You can see installs that are broken down by languages. So taking a look at the data here that was published in the post, English, of course, no surprise, at least to me, takes the biggest piece of the pie at 53.9%, followed by Japanese at 5.8%, and German at 4.9%, Spanish 4.5%, and French 3.4%. And this is a breakdown of, I think, WordPress itself. So one of the interesting things that Sarah Gooding brought up in her post on WP Tavern about this is that this information contrasts with the fact that WordPress usage is highly concentrated in only one of the top 6 languages. So that's pretty interesting. In fact, I would think that with the population in China, that WordPress would be insanely popular there, but it's only 1% of WordPress users. So it's incredibly small. It's not even one of the top influential blogging platforms in China. And I think part of that is probably the translation. It's not 100% translated in Chinese, I don't think. But
it's because we got a bad slogan: democratize publishing. They don't like the democracy part.
Oh, geez, man, you're firing on all cylinders today. But that's not the people. That's mostly the government.
I wonder. I know that sometimes they do restrict internet access and what sites that can be done, and a lot of freedom of speech stuff. So I wonder if it's even a territory.
WordPress.com there.
I wonder if it's even a territory that the normal citizen would even want to venture into. I mean, I could be stereotyping, and I hope that, for their sake, I am, in terms of, that they're able to have those freedoms. But I'll tell you, I don't see many plugins coming out of China.
Well, at least not yet.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's because they can't, they're blocked, or they have to use proxies or something else. I don't know.
Who knows, man? Maybe they got something better than WordPress that we just don't understand yet.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that. So, anyone out there who uses all-in-one SEO, which probably could be quite a few of our listeners if they're not using Yoast, but if you're using this plugin, you'll want to make sure that you're updated to the 2.3.7 immediately. In fact, just a few days ago, this version was released, and it patches a persistent cross-site scripting security vulnerability. And this has to do with apparently there's a bad bots module in this plugin. And what it does is it allows you to sort of block search engine spiders that you don't want to crawl your site via user agents or through the referrer header. And when one of the user agents contains one of the pre-configured list of bot names, the request is blocked, 404 is returned, but sometimes the pages didn't have proper sanitization, so you could put malformed data in there and actually maintain or get admin privileges. So it's a pretty bad issue. But the bad bots module is not enabled by default, so that's a good thing. But if it is enabled, you could be susceptible to this vulnerability. But that's why you should update 2.3.7 as soon as you can and protect yourself from it. And it's been a while since this popular plugin has had a security issue, but props to the team over there at Simplify Web Design for getting the fix out immediately.
Yeah, and if you're not sure if you're running all-in-one SEO or Yoast, just load any page in the back end and look at the top, and if you see a message, you've got Yoast.
No, I knew you were going that way.
I have to.
I knew you were going that way.
I have to say what all of them are thinking.
Wow. You're not too far off. I mean, yeah. So something I think, Marcus, you might want to look into or share with your listeners here. But one of the things that's sort of the auto update process on WordPress. We have auto updates for point releases, which is mainly bug fixes or security fixes. Mm-hmm. But we don't have automatic updates for major releases. And the big issue there is people are afraid that it's going to cause some sort of conflict with plugins. And a lot of people don't even upgrade plugins because they think it's going to cause a conflict with some other thing on their site, or maybe with the version of WordPress. Well, there's actually
it does.
Well, yeah, sometimes it does.
Yeah.
So what if you could test a plugin like right within your install before you apply the actual update, just to see if it works for everything else?
Like seeing into the future?
Yeah. So this gentleman, Antti Kuzmanen, jeez, I'm terrible at names.
Wow.
But he's the founder of Serevo.com, which is a WordPress hosting platform based in Finland. This gentleman that has actually been performing tested auto updates for plugins for the past 3 years on a couple of different thousand sites. And he's actually created this cool plugin called WP Safe Updates. So what this does is it allows you to test a plugin update in a sandbox before you actually get to apply it to your live site. So when you install it, you get to see it. There's a new link that's added on the plugins page, where you can see update now or version details. There's one called test updates. So when you click it, it'll actually create like a sandbox of your actual WordPress install using WordPress multi-site and different tables, different prefix in the database, and you can test it out. So you have a mirror live copy right there that you can test out. And once you are confident that nothing's going to break, you can go ahead and apply the actual update. Now, Sarah has a great review of this plugin and the service on wptammer.com. And in fact, it actually uses MariaDB, and MySQL to duplicate all the tables in WordPress so that you could do you could do tests on the site, like a create post and do all the other things you can normally do on your site. And there's also it's not quite as easy as you think. There are some things you got to do, like you have to manually edit the WP config file and copy the db.php files, stuff like that. However, he is working on automating the process, and I think it's a pretty cool feature. So a pretty cool problem that he's trying to solve. And in fact, depending on how this works out, it's kind of like his feature project where, if it works out great or he comes up with a very easy, slick way of doing it outside of what he's already created, it's possible we could see this type of functionality in Core some point in the future. Kind of discussing this idea, you and I have talked about it before, where I think a lot of people wouldn't mind auto updates for WordPress if you could do exactly this: create a sandbox or test them right there as part of your install before actually applying them. Or I think another thing is, if you encounter an error, to be able to easily roll back to the last known good configuration. So I think if you add those two steps in, maybe people wouldn't be so adamant or against the idea of auto updates for everything, both for full major versions of WordPress and, of course, what we already have, the incremental updates.
Yeah, that's an interesting feature. I really want to test that out because it's got a lot of possibilities too, in terms of, could that be a service or something that could be done, or how do you then, in terms of like, can you replicate something that a client has on a client site and then make sure that all the upgrades are there and perform those kinds of tests ahead of time to make sure, and get a report and send that off and all of those things. So it's interesting. I have to try it out and see for myself how it works.
I like the target market here, because on all of your managed WordPress hosting sites, you pretty much have the option. You have staging and you have production, and you can switch between the two, and you can easily test on one before applying it to the other. But if you, on most shared hosting accounts, the ones that are $5, $6, $7, $8 a month, all you have is your account, and that's it. You don't have, if you wanted to set up staging, you probably have to do like a subdomain of your actual install. And this actually takes care of that, where you wouldn't need to do any of that. You would just install this plugin. It would create a sandbox environment of your site as is, without having to mess around with that. So I like the market he's targeting with this.
Well, I do want to say, though, I'm worried about this from a hosting environment.
Okay.
Because if you're using WordPress managed hosting or something like that, or any host that doesn't allow you to do a multi-site. You said it was a multi-site, right?
Let me see. I want to make sure. I want to double check this here. I thought it said something about multi-site. Maybe I was wrong here.
Things like Bluehost doesn't allow you to do a multi-site. GoDaddy managed.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't use multi-site, but it's similar in how WordPress multi-site works in terms of how it creates the sandbox environment. So my bad on that.
Okay.
So it's not utilizing multi-site.
I see. Well, in that case, I really look forward to trying it.
So check it out. And of course, he says that it's still an alpha product. It's still in the alpha stage. But if anyone out there is interested, he would love more testers for this product, because he wants anyone and everyone in all these different hosting environments to give it a shot and the project is available on GitHub. Also, you can also download it from the WordPress plugin directory. So there you have it. It's called WP Safe Updates. And last but not least, I came across a cool project. It's an experimental event being hosted a day before WordCamp Ann Arbor, which is October 14th and 15th this year at the University of Michigan. But it's an event called WordCamp Warm-Up. And it's an event that takes place the day before the main event. There's space for about 50 people. It's free for WordCamp Ann Arbor attendees, but it's meant to break the ice for new attendees. So I've experienced this, even though I'm a veteran now at WordCamps. Oftentimes, I'll sway between being an extrovert and an introvert. And when I'm an introvert, I pretty much just hang around the people I know. I don't interact with anybody else. I don't introduce myself to anybody else. I don't create new relationships. But I can see and understand. I've heard from people, especially new attendees, where they show up to these events, they want to meet people, but they feel intimidated. They feel like they can't approach anyone, or they can't break the ice with anyone. And by the time WordCamp is over, they feel like, yeah, they got a lot of knowledge out of the sessions, but they didn't establish any new relationships with people. That the networking part was just so for them. And I can see how the networking part can make or break somebody's experience at a WordCamp. So
yeah, don't be nervous, people. Everybody's there for the same reason. And it's not to show off their Rolex or crap like that. Everybody's there to learn WordPress and to share WordPress with everybody else. So it's not a competition. It's not like your typical conference that you would go to. There's not a lot of corporate presence there, even though there is an exhibit hall, I guess you could say. But tables, booths, whatever, and that's just to get free stuff. So that's cool. But don't be intimidated. That's one of the things. I think the first time I went to WordCamp, I was a little bit intimidated. And then the second time around, it was like, hey, there's Saeed Balki over there. Hey, there's Corey Miller. And there's, a bunch of other people. And I just went for it. And it's awesome because now they're all my friends. And that's how it starts.
So the event is actually the brainchild of Rebecca Gill of Web Savvy Marketing, and she said the idea came to her at Pressnomics when she heard somebody say, somebody made a comment along the effect of that WordPress has a cool group and newcomers felt that the cool kids were unapproachable, and she was grouped into that cool kids segmentation, but she didn't want to be, and she didn't want to appear unapproachable. So she thought that an event like this, where people can gather, the introverts or people who are a bit shy, they could be introduced to some of the cool, so-called cool people in the WordPress community. They can meet others in the same fashion, so that when they go and they attend the actual WordCamp event, they actually know a couple people and they can run into them and say, hey, how's things going? And it's a sort of an icebreaker for them. And as Kyle Moore, the lead organizer for the event, says, that he knows from experience that the value derived from attending the WordCamp is strongly correlated with the level of comfort and companionship one feels with the rest of the attendees. And I tend to agree with that. I mean, the more people you know, the more comfortable you are, the easier it is to sort of go around and just talk to everybody. Instead getting over that initial hump of, meeting a couple of different people. I mean, I think that's the major barrier for a lot of people. For first-time WordCamp attendees especially.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Maybe you just want to go to one WordCamp and chill and just soak in the environment. But I'll tell you what, it's totally worth it when you just have conversations with other people. Like, I remember just being in the hallway at WordCamp San Francisco a couple years ago, and I just had a water, and I just saw this woman walk by, and I said hi, and it was Kim Parcell.
There you go. You didn't even know.
Imagine,
yeah.
Imagine like how bummed out I would have been if I would have not said anything or not had a good conversation or anything like that. But don't listen. There's one thing I do want to caution to people. You can still approach the cool kids, but if the cool kids are organizing the event, they might be a little busy.
Oh yeah.
So don't get dismayed by that. Hang out after hours, do something else, go to the party or something like that. And,
Yeah,
and that's one thing I want to tell you too, is it's worth it for you to start making those connections early, because by the time you hit the party, then you've already met about 10 people, and then you can kind of loosen up a little bit more. So it's
that's
very important.
Yeah, what you just said is the genesis behind this event. So it's the pre-word camp, sort of
Right.
a pre-word camp party, so that when you go to the event, you're warmed up. You already know a few people, and you can mingle and see them. You probably end up running into them, but they probably know other people because it's local to the area. And now you start building this network effect, and voila, man, it feels great to have more friends.
Yeah, and Corey Miller's part of that too. So that's going to be great that everybody's going to get to meet Corey, and he's going to guide you through. And I can't think of a better experience. That would be fun.
So if you're attending WordCamp Ann Arbor, you probably want to, and you're interested in this event, it's limited to the first 50 people who reserve a spot. Appetizers and drinks will be available. And it's on Thursday, October 13th at 6:30 p.m. at Arbor Brewing Company. So at that location, the environment will be just right to network and mingle and talk about whatever it is you want to talk about.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that idea. I hope they do it at every WordCamp.
It's definitely picked up on. I know we had a couple comments on the article where Bridget Willard, who is part of the Women Who WordPress group, they organized a pre-WordCamp breakfast before WordCamp Orange County last weekend. And she says that people organically buddied up, and they kept finding each other throughout the whole weekend so they could run into each other, say, hey, what did you learn? What did you learn? And it actually turned out to be pretty successful. So even a pre-event brunch or a breakfast gathering where people just show up and meet each other and establish relationships before the actual event turns out to be a pretty cool thing for a lot of people.
It is. And if you get a chance, go find and talk to somebody. This especially is true if you're a designer or a developer or somebody that uses WordPress to make their living. Go find somebody that looks like a total square, like business person, that doesn't typically look like your typical, so to speak, WordPress user, and go talk to them and ask them what brought them out there. And chances are, most of the time, I'm looking for WordPress help, and maybe you can get some business out of that too. I'm not saying go to WordCamp just for that, but make some connections, network.
Absolutely. I think it's depending on, hopefully they report back to me on how the event works, but if it's a big success, I could see it being used as a template for other WordCamps across the country, if not the world.
I hope that they can videotape some of that for WordPress TV.
That would be pretty interesting. So before I start getting rained down by Zeus with all his lightning bolts, what do you say we dive into the plugin picks of the week?
Yes, and those are lightning bolts as well. And let me cast a few your direction. The first one that I've got out of the gate here is something really cool. You're familiar, of course, Jeff, with the custom page templates, right? Where you have that little box on the right side that you can select a different template to use for pages.
Yes, available in most themes nowadays.
Yep, exactly. Well, now you can use them in posts. So this plugin is called WP Post Type Template. It gives you the exact same functionality that page templates have, but it's within the post editor. So it works exactly the same. You can develop your own templates and use them for posts. Pretty cool. It's like New Coke.
New Coke.
Yeah. The next one, if you are a fan of Facebook's new 7 emotions, I'm talking like, love, thankful, LOL, wow, sad, angry, all those little ones. Now you can put them in your own BuddyPress installation. This one's called Activity Reactions for BuddyPress. It allows you to get away from just the like and add all 7 of the most trending emotions in the world, I guess they are. So activity reactions for BuddyPress. Finally, those of you who have gone this far in the show, I'm going to reward you with something really cool to do and a little technique that you might want to use for your e-commerce store. If you've got something where there's a big draw as far as like SEO to your site because you got a lot of cool products and things, You can use this plugin, which is called Discontinued Products. And you could actually stuff your entire WooCommerce site with products that you don't even have and label them as discontinued and then suggest something else instead as far as a product that you actually do have in stock. And this will allow you to do all of that. Now, how do I know this? Because I just did a project that did that exact same thing, and it works like a charm. So check it out. This plugin is called Discontinued Products, my special little tip for you. And those are my plugin picks of the week.
Awesome. So I will be at WordCamp Oklahoma City at the end of this month in about 2 weeks. And next Tuesday, it's supposed to be 99 degrees out there, actual air temperature. So the heat index is going to be around 110. I'm really looking forward to that.
Dry heat.
Dry heat. Yeah. Well, I don't know. No, not really.
Just keep telling yourself that.
Yeah. But this is the first WordCamp for the state of Oklahoma. So it'd be great to celebrate and be part of the first inaugural event. And any word yet on your speaking proposal that you submitted to WordCamp LA?
No, I will find out in 2 days, I'm told. So
there you
keep
go.
your fingers crossed for my very first WordCamp speaking session. I don't know. I think I qualify. I think I'm good. Who knows? Maybe I'm not.
Well, I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
Maybe somebody's got an axe to grind with you, and they're just going to deny me.
That's quite possible. So one of our special guests next week that I have booked, his name is Eric Mayer, one of the founding fathers of CSS. And his daughter, for those of you who are not familiar, his daughter passed away of an illness at a very young age. And she was the reason, she was partially the reason or the inspiration behind the CSS color called Rebecca Purple. So we'll be talking to him about designing for humanity, adding humanity to the web. And that's going to be a fascinating topic. He did a keynote about this subject at WordCamp Northeast Ohio, which is available and sort of the pretext for the show on WordPress.tv. So if you want to sort of be tuned in to what we'll be talking about next week, definitely head to WordPress.tv and look for it. It's the Eric Mayer Designing for Humans, Adding Humanity to the Web on WordPress.tv. That'll be a great show.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. That's going to be nice.
And outside of that, you can follow me on Twitter at Jeffro. That's JEFFR0. You can find show notes for this show and every other episode on WPTavern.com. And Marcus?
Well, the secret website with the templates that I was talking about that I was going to give out is Photofunia, Photofunia, and it's a blast to put pictures in there and start editing. You can find me at my website, marcuscouch.com, and at membershipcoach.com, and find me on Twitter at marcuscouch.
Do you hear that? Oh, I wonder if that came through.
What was it?
The thunder is rolling.
Yeah. We don't mean the Oklahoma City Thunder because they ain't rolling anywhere.
Oh, do. All right, so that's going to do it for this episode. We'll talk to you again next Wednesday evening, and I'm going to shut everything down here before I lose everything due to late.
Come on, take a chance.
No, thank you, sir. So I'll talk to you again next week, Marcus.
All right.